When this comes to room temperature, it's definitely going to look a little more watery, but see how dark that is? We've got a lot of the impurities there. We're just going to scrape the top. Okay, now I'm just going to quarter it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Carnivore Quest. My name is Cassie, and today I will be your tour guide on how to make beef tallow. Yes! This is going to be so easy. I'm going to show you how to do it. We have our handy dandy crock pot. I have about 5 pounds of beef fat. Now this came from the butcher. I chopped it and then I ran it through the food processor. Now, if you don't have any of those, because chopping is a little bit tedious, you can always ask your butcher to run it through the grinder. They'll be happy to do it for you. So I have about 5 pounds and then I've got some salt. And that is it. Little Rosie. We have company. She smells the beef fat. Although I tried giving some to her and she didn't want anything to do with it. Give a big round of applause to tiny little Rosie. Little Rosie. Oh yeah, say hi everybody.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
I've got a handful of equipment that I had to use, one being a cutting board, a sharp knife, a food processor, a crock pot, and a wooden spoon. Oh, wait. And a measuring cup with water, although you really don't need to measure it, but I'm going to use roughly 3 cups. This is going to be really easy. Time consuming, but very easy. And I'm going to show you step by step how to go about doing it, minus the chopping and using the food processor, because that's pretty self-explanatory, right? You all know how to use a knife, and you know how to use a food processor or a meat grinder. You got one of those meat grinders, those KitchenAid or Vitamix or something like that. Hint, hint, remember? You know, I want that Vitamix. Actually, the generic food processor that I have, I think it was like $30, $40. It worked beautifully. And the reason we want the fat into smaller pieces is because it will cook faster. I've looked up several recipes how to do this, and nobody's really given me an exact time. Now, I've made lard out of pork fat. I'm going to do this a little bit differently. Now, we're using salt, which I have not used before. Same with the water. Now, that is going to help draw out all of the impurities from the fat. First, put the crock pot on low. Okay, now I'm taking my fat, putting it right into the crock pot. 5 pounds is a lot. This is going to make a lot. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. If I can do this, you can. Come on, Rosie, give me a break. Gosh, she just wants to be in front of the camera all the time. Again, like I said, the reason for the water and the salt is to draw out all of the impurities. Okay, we're going to get this stuff white as my tank top. I'm adding roughly 2 tablespoons of salt here. Okay, next, I've got 3 cups of water. Now, if you're in a drier climate, you may want to use 4. Use a little bit more than that. So we're going to see how the 3 cups works, and if I need to use a little more, so be it. It's very humid, especially outside. It's been raining for a couple of days. Anyway, it's really hot out there. And it's very humid, so we are not lacking humidity down here in the south. That's step 1. We're just going to let this cook down for a few hours, and then I will show you exactly what the next steps are. Before we continue, I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Element. Element is a delicious electrolyte drink mix that has everything you need and nothing you don't. No sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no fillers, no gluten, basically no BS. Element is formulated to help anybody with their electrolyte needs. They did the science for us. Each packet contains 1,000 milligrams sodium, 200 milligrams potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. Keeping up with your electrolytes is extremely important if you're on a low-carb diet, especially if you're on a carnivore diet. Since Larry and I have been using Element, we have not had one headache nor one leg pain. Because we enjoy Element so much, we just don't forget to take them. As always, Element is offering our viewers a free sample pack with any order, even if you're a returning customer. That's 8 free single serving packets with any Element order. This is the perfect way to try all 8 flavors to see which ones you like before your next order. You can get yours today using our link below at drinkelement.com/Carnivore Quest. This is a great way to get the quality electrolytes you need and support our channel at the same time. So head on down to drinkLMNT.com/Carnivore Quest. And if you're not 100% satisfied, keep the product and receive a no questions asked full refund. Thanks again, Element, for sponsoring today's video. So we're an hour 15 in here and just gonna give it a quick stir. So we can see it's starting to break down already. There's a lot of liquid in there. And the fat is starting to disappear. Check it in a few hours. Okay, here we are. 7 hours. Whoa. Something in the mess. This has been going 7 hours. Now I'm going to start part 1 of the straining process. So the fat has been rendered and I'm going to show you the next step. And then there's yet another step. So let's get cracking with this one. All right, so for this step, we have a metal bowl, a ladle, a metal ladle, and a metal strainer. We don't want to work with any plastic. We don't want any of that plastic leaching in to our tallow, which will be purified. So I also have some cheesecloth. I'm going to cut this to size, and the next step is really easy. We're just going to ladle it out of there into here, keep the cracklings going there, and let's do it. All right, we're just going to cut some cheesecloth to catch any extra of these little beef fat crumbles, just to make sure none of it gets in there. Now don't worry about the water. We're not going to let anything mold. I'm going to show you what we do next. And I'm going to save this because we're going to rinse and repeat. This is the hardest part. I'm just kind of, as you can see, we're going to press on this fat, just tamp it down, and we're going to get some more of that good gold, that liquid gold. Yeah, this is a lot easier than any of us think. I promise you, it's not that hard. It just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of patience. You know, you're gonna make this on a day where you really don't have a whole lot going on. The crock pot does all the work for you. You just gotta go in and give it a stir every so often so none of it's sticking to the sides or sticking on the bottom. You know, you don't want any little burnt pieces. There's still so much more in here. So just tamp it down, get it all out, let it strain through. Again, it's time consuming, but you're only going to do this every so often. Okay, and then I'm just going to take the rest and pour it out because it was too heavy and it would have just spilled everywhere. There we go. And it's hot. I'm getting splashed on right now. Okay. So there's that. Now we just tamp it down a bit. I'm going to let it cool off for a little while before putting it in the refrigerator because it's too hot, and you put really hot foods in the refrigerator, all it's going to do is warm up your refrigerator and make it work harder. So there's no need. It's fine to let it sit out for about, I don't know, maybe half hour. So I'm just going to let this cool down a little bit on the countertop. I'll pop it into the refrigerator and then I'm going to show you the next step. We've had our fat sitting in the refrigerator overnight. It's solidified. We're going to pull it out of the bowl and see what we're working with here. Okay, as you can see, our fat has solidified. I'm really curious to see how much water is in there. So what we're going to do is just kind of, there we go. It should just pop right out. As you can see, it's moving. We're gonna give it a little bit of wiggle. The reason we used the metal bowl was because you can manipulate it a little bit. Oh, there we go. Okay, nice and easy, guys. Boom. And there we are. When this comes to room temperature, it's definitely gonna look a little more watery, but see how dark that is? We've got a lot of the impurities there. We're just gonna scrape the top. Scrape it all in there. So you can see there are more impurities here. That's a lot of what the salt did. It's just gonna bring it all out. So let's just scrape it. There we go. Okay, see that? That's really dark right in there. You don't want that. We want it to be as pure as possible. So I'm definitely going to repeat the step, but it won't take as long. Also, the more you render it, the more pure it becomes. And you can use it to make candles, beauty products, soap, I mean, really whatever you want. I am using it for cooking. Maybe I'll try and moisturize my skin. We'll see how well it works. Okay, now I'm just going to quarter it. Now that I have it quartered, I'm just going to put it back in here, like so. It still smells very beefy. And we're going to add more water. I'm going to add a little more water than I did the last time. And this portion of it doesn't take nearly as long as the first time because it's already been rendered. Now we're just drawing out more impurities. So this time I'm putting in roughly 6 cups. Okay, now that it's back in the crock pot, ready to go, let's not forget the salt. We're going to put roughly 2 tablespoons, the temperature of the crock pot on high, and then bring it down to low after it's simmering. And I'm going to let it go for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. So part 2, we may do it a third time. We're going to find out. Again, it's a process. It is time consuming. It's easy to do after you get all the chopping taken care of. I think that's the longest part of it. So let's put this back in the crock pot for about another 2 hours. We're going to let it cool again, which will take another few hours, and we'll rinse and repeat. Maybe, we'll see. We have our second rendering. Let's see what we're working with. So once again, we have our cheesecloth and we're just going to run it through this again. I can definitely see, and I don't think you can with the camera, but we'll show it later, but I can see where the water and the fat have separated. And don't worry about that right now. We'll get it all out later. And you don't want the water in with the fat because it will mold, and we don't want this because this stuff has a super long shelf life. If it's stored properly on your countertop, providing it's not too hot, you can get this to keep for a year. Same process. We're going to let it cool on the countertop for a little bit and then pop it back into the refrigerator. All right, everybody, it's day 3. I had the tallow sitting in the refrigerator overnight so it can harden. Now all we're going to do is pull it out of the bowl, see what kind of impurities we're working with, and then there's one more easy step that's just going to take about 15 minutes. So let's get in it, let's finish this up and see how everything turned out. Okay, so I can feel the water, it's jiggling under there, so I'm really curious to see what kind of impurities came out of it. I have a feeling this is going to pop out very easily. There we go. So there is a little bit there. See that? That's some impurities right there, and that's not bad. So the second rendering definitely purified it, and look at that. It's practically Snow White. Let me show you what's in the bowl. It's a little cloudy, so let's just scrape that off, just like the first time. Nice. This looks really good. Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited for this. You know, I've made lard, okay, not beef tallow. And a lot of that is just because I was afraid. I wasn't sure what to expect. I wasn't sure how the process was going to be. I thought it was really time consuming and I might mess it up. I don't think you can mess it up. So I'm going to quarter this again, and then we're going to pop it in the double boiler just to melt it down, so I can then put it into jars. I've watched several videos, and this is kind of a mashup of all the videos I've watched. And the instructions on one of the videos was to melt it down in a double boiler and then pour it into the jars. Now that it's purified, I mean, you can make soap. I'm going to use it for moisturizer for sure. It doesn't have There's a little bit of beef odor. I don't know if I want to go around smelling like beef all day. So maybe a third time, but for the sake of the video, and this time I'm just going to use it to cook with, to fry. I'll fry up my steaks, and the next time I make this, I'll go ahead and render it one more time to see if it eliminates that beef odor. But this is just going to be for cooking and frying and added flavor. But look at that. That looks really nice. Let's get this double boiler going. Okay, so technically this is a triple boiler. The only pot that I would have had large enough to fit the glass bowl in, it was a really large stock pot, and I wasn't about to use all that water. So as you can see, it's just a saucepan, and then I've got this glass crock pot, and then my glass bowls. I just have it on a medium heat. Once this gets warm enough, we're gonna put the fat in there, we're gonna melt it down, and then I'm gonna get my glass jars. So got the water going. I'm just gonna pop this in there. Probably take maybe, well, I'd say 15 minutes, but I don't know. So I'm just gonna put it all in there, and we shall see what happens. We'll see how long it takes, I'll let you know. So we're just gonna let it melt down, and then I have a nice clean and dry, it's very dry, no moisture on the inside. Again, we're trying to avoid all the moisture. So we'll come back when this is done. I'll see you in a few minutes. Last step is done. I just pulled the melted fat off the burner. Now all I need to do is pour it in the jar, and we are done. So we've let it cool just a tad. Any water will have sunk to the bottom. Let's try not to mix any fat or any water. Again, it will mold, so let's be careful of that. All I'm gonna do is just ladle this in there. Like so. This will keep on your countertop for a year, providing it's not too hot. It will last much, much longer in your refrigerator. Okay, so that was about 5 pounds, and I've got roughly 30 ounces of tallow here, plus there's an additional maybe 6 ounces or so that I could not fit in here. I'll just put that in another container and use that up first. And there you have it. That is how you make beef tallow. Yes, it's a bit time consuming, but it is definitely worth it, especially if you're deep frying or if you want to elevate the flavor. Again, you can make soap, or you can make beauty products out of it. It can certainly become a moisturizer. So there you have it, purified beef tallow. If you've made this in the past, let me know which method you've used. Let me know if I did anything wrong. This was my first run at it, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give me a little bit of a thumbs up. And until the next time, folks, no sugar, no carbs, and no cheating. Love y'all.